Staying organized as a dungeon master is really tough. While players have to remember one character, the DM has to keep track of like thousands of other characters, along with locations, along with bosses, along with villains, overarching conflicts, whatever. So how the heck am I going to keep track of all of that? Well, that's what this video is about. What is going on YouTube? My name is Francis. I'm a dungeon master and I've been playing D&D for like 5 years now. And in this video, I wanted to show you a tool that I have been using for the past few years, and that is an app called Notion. In case you don't know what Notion is a free note-taking app that you can use for yourself completely for free. It's mostly targeted towards students and business owners and organization people and productivity, but in our case, we're going to repurpose that into D&D today. Let's get started on this template. So this is basically Notion. All that I did here was I changed the view to dark mode because light mode really hurts my eyes. I also created a new page. This is completely blank. Add some stuff to make it look pretty, and made this into a wide screen, which I'm not going to go into, but you can definitely Google that. So what I like to do is I like to embed sub pages into my main D&D page. So there are a few categories that what I would like to make. So the first one is going to be DM Notes. The second one is going to be Session Notes. And we're gonna make this into a table. Next, we're going to make another page using /page. I'm gonna call this PCs or player characters. And I'm also gonna make this a table. The next one, I'm going to make into a NPC database. And this is also going to be a table. Another page, which is going to be adventures. You could do this any amount of ways. I like to do table here as well. Next, I like to do locations. For this, I like to make it a gallery. And the last one is gonna be homebrew. And I like to make this a list. So let's start with DM Notes. So DM Notes, I like to leave this empty. And what I like to do is make this my quick notes and just have maybe a bunch of bullet points. So the thing about the DM Notes is that the DM Notes are basically my quick notes. These are the things that I write during the session if I want to include it in the recap, if I want to save it for an adventure later. Let's say, for instance, your players don't tell you what's going on in their backstories, but they do improv it in the moment. I want to stay true to that, and I'll make a quick note here and add it on to the databases in the future. What I like to do every single week is to clear this out. At least this gives me a clean slate of what is basically happening throughout the through the campaign. It keeps me organized, and frankly, you just need a place where you can dump all your notes. So that's pretty much the DM Notes. The next is the Session Notes, and the Session Notes I like to do is I'll say Session 1, and I would like to make another column, and I'm going to call this Adventure. Let's go to the Adventure tab really quick. Let's say I have an adventure, and we made a new database here. I'm going to call this Adventure 1. And let's say I write an adventure from beginning to end, and let's say that this was in Analon, for example. Analon is the capital city of where my D&D campaign is currently happening. So let's say that I want to refer this adventure to the session. So what I like to do is go to the session notes, and I will say adventure. I like to make my adventures as regular text. And from there, I can press @ and then I'll do adventure 1. And there you go. So let's say session 1, you're gonna have adventure 1, and then I can click this, and it immediately brings me to adventure number 1. The session notes are basically where I am bringing everything together, because in the session notes, I really need to streamline what is happening, like what lore do I need, what NPCs might I need, not like scripting, but like just to have an idea of like where are we gonna go, what could the players do, And that's basically how I keep everything at like a quick notice, and everything is basically a click away. So that's pretty much the session notes. I hope that made sense. Next, we're gonna go to the PCs, or the player characters. Let's say this is going to be one of my players' characters is Cietar. I will write here, I'll make this into text, and I'll make a column for players. From here, I can easily open this, and then I can like throw in a backstory here. I can write anything from, let's say, for instance, my DM notes. I can throw them in here. Again, that keeps me organized. That keeps track of like what this character is leading towards. Let's say that for some reason at the beginning, Cietar was a lawful good paladin. That's what he is, by the way. But he was a paladin. But then let's say later on he wants to go on the more chaotic side. The events that lead up to his alignment change, basically, those things can be kept track of through Notion, which is pretty good. Also, like I said before, player backstory, NPCs that the players like, maybe the NPCs that the players hate. And frankly, you can always tag them using the @ symbol, so that's pretty cool. Next is the NPCs. So the NPCs are kind of the same story, but what I like to do here is organize it based on location. So we're gonna get to location really soon. I'm gonna rename this property location, and let's just say one of my characters right now is Owen Celino Grandfire, a Bullywug wizard, and frankly, his location is currently Analon. Another character that I had is one of the noble dwarven princes of another city called Valdur. So I'm gonna say Lord Hammerfell, and location is Valdur. Finally, let's just say the guildmaster, for instance, of my current campaign, Joseph Winters, and he is also in Anon. So not only can I create these pages that have like information about the characters, appearances, you know, the blah blah, I can actually add a view here, and I can filter based on location. And I want a location. Let's say I'm in a session where my players are planning to spend the whole session in Analon. I'm going to check Analon here, and then boom, there you go. It keeps everything in check, especially if you have NPCs that you forgot that the players are probably going to go and revisit, maybe. Now let's go to adventures. I like to create several columns for this. So for here, I'm going to make another property, and I'm going to make this main quest, and we're going to make this a checkbox. Next, we're going to make this a side quest, and I'm going to also make this a checkbox. If I can find it, there you go. Finally, most importantly, the status. It's going to be a select. So let's say we have adventure 2, we have adventure 3. What happens once you complete a quest? So let's say this is completed. Let's say this is not started, and this is also not started, or sorry, in progress. And let's say this first adventure is a main quest, the second adventure is a main quest, and the third is a side quest. So just by glancing at this table, I know exactly what is happening through all of these locations. And for the purpose of this, let's say that everything's in Analon. My players already completed their first quest. They are currently in the process of doing a side quest before they go on to their second quest. So that's pretty much how I use adventures. And you can do all sorts of things. You can tag pages that you want. You can tag, maybe if you want to change this to maybe the session number, and tag the pages of each section that belong with the adventure. You could definitely do that if you wanted to even look back on the adventures that you've done. We've done adventures, we've done PCs and NPCs. Now let's go to locations. And locations is going to be different, because what I like to do here is, you see how it's different? It's a gallery view. meaning you can actually see pictures of things that you put in here. So I'm gonna Google a picture real quick. So one of the things that I like to do within my locations is be as detailed as I possibly can, because this is going to basically create the entire web of all the adventures, of all the NPCs, and everything is going to be caught up in the locations. So what I like to do in locations, besides adding wonderful pictures, is to create databases within databases. And here's how I do it. So first off, I am going to embed what is called a list, and I am going to make it a brand new database. I'm going to hide the title, and let's say, for instance, I'm going to make this a tavern. And then for tags, what I'm going to do is I'm going to include which this tavern will be in. So let's call this, just for brevity, middle class. Let's say the next one is going to be a temple, and this is going to be in the high class district. You can make up any tag that you want, but this is just what I'm doing. And let's say, for instance, I want to do shipyard, and this is going to be in the, let's call it the lower class district. And from these tags, I can again go create another view. We're gonna just keep it the way it is. I'm going to hide the title because my OCD is like that. And then I'm going to filter by tag, and I'm going to call this middle class. And now I can rename this to everything that is in the middle class district. And now I have every single building or location inside of this list, and you can see that it's just going to go on and on and on. It's just a way to keep track of it. You can search through the database in here or anywhere else. Like I said, everything is just a few clicks away. Now here, besides the buildings inside of the district, let's say that I want to talk about the history, the population, the districts, the government, the defense, all these other categories. I will throw them all here within this general, and then this middle class or district, this will be like the finer details of where everything is in my mind. And then that way I can link anything. Let's say in the adventure, I can go to our session and I can link, let's say, tavern, and there you go. My players are in this tavern, in this district, in the middle class district, in Analon. There you go. Everything is there. Everything is just so accessible. It's amazing. I love this program. Finally, let's go to Homebrew, because Homebrew is something that I'm still kind of dabbling with. And frankly, I am kind of treating this more of as an item page. And here's what I'll do. So in Homebrew, I'll create a page and I'll call this, for example, I don't know, Mugfist Knuckles. And here I'll create a tag. Let's say I only want this for attunement. This is an attunement item and I need this for monks, maybe pugilists. Maybe I can see a fighter carrying this. I'll write out the details here, and then what I can do is that I can export this as a PDF, and then I can just send it to my players. Another thing that you can do is make like updates to said item. So let's say that I am going to make a date. I'm gonna rename this to updated, and I'm going to change this to today's date, which is July 1st, which is the day that I am recording this video. When I export this, you'll see all of the details, and the person who's reading this knows that this is like updated on this. So I like to update my homebrew items. If I make them a little bit too OP and I want to fine tune it a bit, I will certainly write the date up there, and I can send it to my players absolutely no problem. So overall, in conclusion, this is basically how I organize my weekly D&D sessions. There is absolutely no wrong way of how you want to organize it. Feel free to copy or change some of the things that I tried to do here. Personally, this has worked always the best for me, and just the fact that everything is a few clicks away makes everything super duper handy. And I think this is pretty much how I'm going to organize everything, at least until I, get back to playing D&D in person. So that's pretty much it, how I organize my D&D Notes. This is practically how I use it, and if you want, I'll even send a Notion template to you so you could just import it and then use it however you wish. And also, if you want to know how I organize my D&D notes for every single week, be sure to check out this video over here where I go in depth on how I still do it. I made it last year, it's still great, and frankly, it saved me a lot of headaches, so be sure to check that out.